everybody. I got a call from a senior reporter at Al Jazeera that said, is it possible we can come to Canada and see Canada's marijuana company? I said, for sure. We're the only one. Come on over. And to this date, I don't know if they know the truth, but it's all good.
Bruce, I'm Mary Higginboom. I'm the mayor-elect for Rio Lakes, and of course, we consider Smith Falls to be one of our suburbs. So, just by a show of hands, I'd like to know in the room, how many folks have actually visited the Tweed Visitor Center? I'm hoping that a year from now, every hand goes up, because I've done it, and I brought my friends there, and it's just an amazing experience. We will see that that facility is our #1 tourist attraction for the next number of years. I believe that.
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
Thank you. It is intended to be spectacular and curated and get better every quarter. With every quarter, there's going to be new stuff for people to see. But you should come see it because we put a ton of thought into that thing and quite a bit of money, but you can spend money and get a crappy result. When you walk in, if anybody doesn't walk through the whole thing, you're going to be there twice as long as you thought. Right? There's a lot of stuff you get engaged in. And our best day ever, we have like hats and t-shirts and stuff. Our best day ever is over $30,000 of sales of hats and t-shirts that carry our brand. Which means I got all those people walking around carrying my brand. That's not a bad day's sales for a store that's just kind of there to make sure that you carry our shirts out and hats.
Hi, it's Nancy Pecker. I'm the mayor-elect here in North Grenville. You have every mayor and councillor, outgoing or incoming, I think, captive. As you know, there's a major decision point, right, for all of municipalities across Ontario about whether or not to permit retail shops. Obviously, you have a vested interest. We're aware of that. But I expect, regardless, you may have some thoughts or reflections. I would hope on the kind of decision-making municipalities will need to undergo in the next few weeks to either accept retail shops in there. Yeah. Any words of wisdom? We're looking for succinct words of wisdom.
At the end of the day, there are people selling cannabis in every one of your jurisdictions, for sure. They're there. There are people consuming it. You know, there are people. You might say, well, we haven't got enough technology for detecting if people are consuming and driving. I can tell you that before October 17th, there was somewhere between $6 and $10 billion of cannabis being sold, and there was no education about don't drink or don't smoke and get high and drive. So we did a program with Uber, where it's Uber and us and Mothers Against Drug Driving. They added that, where we gave them, over the last 3 years, probably a couple $100,000 to make any videos and advertisement they could to tell people not to consume. We did 45,000 $5 coupons with Uber so that people on October 17th and go forward wouldn't start like you guys did in 1970, where like, of course I'm driving home from the cocktail party because I need the car tomorrow. No, don't. And so I think we're getting ahead of it early. And, pushback might be, let's wait and see. But you know what's going to happen is the wait and see is going to leave you on the sideline. Because who knows when they're going to allow more, what the criteria is. I think the first wave might be the only way for a while. And if you miss it, well, somebody will drive. I don't know, are we in favor of having one of those in Smith Falls? Yeah, okay, so they'll all come to Smith Falls. You should all be opposed to it. Decision done. Greater Smith Falls area just got more traffic in. But I can't see why anybody would. And I've never been a customer of this product. I didn't start this because I'm a customer. There are plenty of customers. I started because it's about governing and not losing cannabis, and I think I comprehend how to do some of these things. I don't have any desire yet to be smoking it. Now, when we make the beverages and things, I'm all over that. 0 calories. And driving to Smith Falls and back or on an airplane every day has not been helpful on the calorie count. I think there's what you see today is going to change tomorrow. And if you're out of the game today, maybe you don't get to have those on your shelves. And I'm not sure. Probably was a good idea to ban liquor stores and stuff 100 years ago, but now they're in every grocery store, I think.
Hi Bruce, it's Cheryl from the board. And I guess we joined you we first visited Smith Falls about 4 years ago, and it was a pretty sad situation, a great town with not a lot of employment, and the big story was Hershey's. So I've been absolutely fascinated with what you guys have done in Smith Falls. And we've got a lot of tourism coming to Smith Falls, starting on our boat departures. We've reached about 200 million potential customers all around the world with a 3.4 million spend. And every one of them journalists all want to visit Tweed. And of course, everywhere I go, everybody says, between the boat and Tweed, that is sort of Smith Falls today. What's your view on
a golfer.
it?
We got a good golfer too.
Yeah, and I guess... Yeah, we have. And I guess, my view on it, customers are intrigued, journalists are intrigued, tell the story, they make their own opinion. Will we ever be putting maybe chocolate marijuanas on our customer's pillow? Probably not. But, we're really excited with what you guys have done, so well done. I haven't done the tour yet, but I certainly wear the t-shirt.
I should for sure do the tour, and I think, what you're kind of doing is you're making a soup, right? And you got to have enough ingredients that kind of brings everything together. And so your choice to be there, us being there, the opportunity for earned media, you can spend 3.2, but if we kind of do more together, you probably get like 10.5 million of yield, because on October 17th, we had Japanese journalists and we had Chinese journalists and we had German, Dutch. Last week, CNBC was up doing it, Monday. CNBC was up doing a documentary. The Globe and Mail, one day, I think was the Cannabis Globe and Mail. The number of articles they had on what's going on in the cannabis sector in Smith Falls, I think was pretty helpful. I actually now even own a building in Smith Falls which doesn't grow cannabis. Because when I first came to Smith Falls, I didn't know Smith Falls. So after I was going to this, I drove around a little bit before I went to the council meeting, and I drove around the rest of the streets after. Just drove the grid to see what the hell Smith Falls. And I drove by the post office, which was a terrible thing to do, because I went, that is a gorgeous building. And so I was kind of like flirting with the building for like 5 or 6 years, and I just bought it because it kind of needs a little makeup, a little cleanup. But like, I'm all in, because I don't have a better plan for the building other than it should look gorgeous. And the more I learn about it, man, it's one of those buildings that could be a movie about it. It used to be a post office, then it was a high school where the nuns lived upstairs, the girls went to school on the first floor, and apparently a lot of guys got drunk in the basement. And then where they got drunk in the basement became Alcoholics Anonymous, which, like, the whole thing is unbelievable.
Hi Bruce, Jamie Puttycombe with St. Lawrence College. I guess kind of looking forward towards all of the opportunity that there might be in this area, how can the region best support the next few years in terms of filling some of the gaps that currently exist?
I heard the tail end of the presentation about what young people want. I think what they want to work at are things that are interesting and topical, and we're part of that. But I think what we need to be able to do is often people want to have incubators or centers of excellence and stuff, and they're kind of made up stuff. We actually are the center of excellence globally on everything from public policy to academia in terms of how do you wean people from opioids to how do you do clinical studies. Yesterday, in fact, in Vegas, I was talking to a group that do these sorts of things, and they have quite a lot of money, and I said, we got to have in Smith Falls a center of excellence, which should be a platform environment where anybody who wants to invent the next light can invent it there, work with the people around the world, and trial it with us. If they want to think about the next amazing fertilizer, we can tell them the problems with the current one. And they can go do it, and they can actually have a platform thought process and come back and test it. And the reason they'll actually work in Smith Falls is if you're going to go interacting with a facility, proximity matters. So I think we should get in front of this, and it's not about having a store. It would be great if people do, but it's about how do we actually lean into this and get the province to kick up part of the money to have an incubator. And everybody will benefit, because what happens is when you hub things out, people kind of move around and are everywhere. Like I had, where is it over there? Smokins Menswear. I had them set up a pop-up store inside our shop about 3 weeks ago. And the reason I did is because with Christmas and Hanukkah and everything coming up, all the people who work for us have enough money to look good, but they don't. They don't have nice clothes. And I'm like, you gotta have a blazer. Like every once in a while, you gotta wear a blazer. And you gotta have a dress shirt, you gotta have pants that go with the blazer. And so, like, I wanted them to come in, and my hope is that it goes well enough that they see it as a reason to have a store back in Smith Falls again. But that's the kind of stuff that I think if we get an incubator, we get a core and a center of excellence, it'll actually, it'll have some traction, and you'll find that the academic background of the people in incubators is master's level and above. A bunch of entrepreneurs raise some money, and often you stay close to where you are, because if you look at Waterloo, RIM didn't start in Waterloo. Waterloo University started in Waterloo. And RIM stayed close to where the smart people were. And so I think, you see that all over the place, and we could actually do that for cannabis, but it could end up being too late in 2 years. Because then there's going to be a bunch of people who want to take that ring. So I would think about that maybe.
And one last question.
Bruce, Dave Henderson from City of Brockville. You touched on the market potential, and you touched on the beverage market potential. Edibles are going to be coming online at some point in the near future, and that seems to be a huge step forward in manufacturing, packaging, distribution. What does that mean for Canopy, and what does it mean for Smith Falls and the area?
Yeah, so when people inhale cannabis, whether they light it on fire or put it into something that just heats it and lets the oils out, because what you want in cannabis is not the plant, but the oils that are resident in the plant. And the reason they light a joint is to do a step called decarboxylation, which is essentially when you heat cannabis up, the substance that makes you high is called THC, and when you heat it up, it breaks a link which decarboxylates it, which then activates it. And I give you all that because when people do that, it hits them quite quickly, which sounds fine maybe for a concert, but if you had anxiety or Parkinson's or rheumatoid arthritis, and in the morning you can't move very well because you've been seized up, you're going to want to have something you inhale, but you don't want to smoke because it'll let you limber up. Or if you're feeling really nauseous in a oncology treatment, you're not going to want to take a pill that takes 10 or 20 minutes to have an effect. You're going to want to breathe it in. But when you take the stuff and you make it so you can drink it or eat it, it takes a little longer to have an effect because it's being ingested, digested, and hitting you. And so they're going to allow some form of ingestibles, whether we chew them or drink them or whatever. But I don't know that Canada's going to be a big edibles market in the US, and criminals make things like gummy bears and chocolates with that oil in it. And the reason they chose those form factors is they make really ugly colored stuff that tastes bad. If you're a criminal, it's really hard to spend a lot of money and technology and make an amazing system, because if the cops bust you, then you lose all that tech. And so what you do instead is you mask the flavor, which is why they do these gummy bears and things like that. And I don't think we're going to ever have gummy bears in Canada. In some states where it's still federally illegal, they try to tell people, well, a gummy bear looks like a kid's thing, which it really does. You can't make them. So you know what? The people started making gummy squares. Not a whole lot different. They're bright red and yellow and stuff. So I think beverages are where we're going to more end up, and it's because our regulator in every province is a liquor authority. And you guys get it. Have you ever been to a liquor store that sold anything that wasn't a shelf-stable beverage? Like, Americans don't get it. Like, when you buy liquor, you also get newspapers and cigarettes. And I said, no, these guys are real, and they're guys. There's only one lady running one of them. Sharon runs the one in Newfoundland. Otherwise, it's all guys. And they're exactly generally what you would expect as a beer cart running a liquor authority. So they're not looking for a crazy, let's have a gummy bear aisle. So I think it's going to have an effect. So we focus that big. If you come to our building, you'll see a really big, kind of new attached, lighter colored one at the back corner. That's where we're making all the ingredients that can make a beverage. They can make vaporizing, they can make medical. It's certified to like a German standard, as if Novartis or Pfizer owned it. And that's because we don't know what we get to make. We just know that it's got to meet a global standard. But I don't think the form factors, like they joke in Colorado and Vegas and stuff, they say, well, how do you make sure that you don't get too messed up with the gummy bear, because they're very uneven in terms of their active ingredient level. And they have a video where they show the person just eating one leg first. I think people prefer certainty. You don't walk into the liquor store and say, how strong is the vodka today? You want it to be the same every time, and I think that's what we're creating, is a standardized platform for creating real value. Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bruce. It's certainly amazing what can happen in 4 years since you last been here. And again, as you heard from so many different questions. The amount of education is tremendous that you provide to the product. We've got some products here that if you want to work some magic with them, it's all up to you.